Hello again.
Nice to see you again. Where are we holding? It's been a while since I was here.
Uh, my mark is on the chapter 6:14, but
Chapter 6. Okay.
I never hit it right because she always says,
Yeah. Let me find it. Okay, 6:14. All right.
"Oh, stranger,
Mario, how are
stranger,
you?
how are you?"
David's going to learn a little bit. Oh, wow.
Yeah, a little bit while I'm walking.
David, hi.
Hi, Magda.
Hey, hi. So nice to see
You
you.
became Jewish?
I'm checking on you guys. If you're really, I'm giving a test in the end of the shiur. Are you ready? Yeah.
Oh, I'm in big trouble.
Anyway, I'm eating now protein, eggs.
Oh, you're eating your eggs. Your protein.
Do you eat just the white or the yolk also?
Also, I eat 4 whites and 1 complete.
Okay.
And one
So
black.
the white doesn't have any calories. I mean, it's like 7, 8 calories per egg,
But it's protein.
but it's full of protein.
Okay.
Are you allowed to walk while you're listening? What's the
Sure.
rules? Okay.
Where are you walking? The bathroom?
No, I'm going outside soon.
Oh.
I will go and have to learn a little bit.
Tell
Go,
Judy to
go,
join.
go check out by Hindi Mayor. There's a big party going on over there. This Shimi Adar is there. Go check it out.
Who is Shimi Adar?
Shimi Adar is by Hindi Mayor's house, Ronnie Mayor's.
You know, she does the parties.
You know who that is, Shimi Adar?
No, who is
Oh,
she?
you don't know who she is. Oh, okay. She's like this party, she gets all the kids very excited.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Very popular with the bat
But it's so
mitzvahs.
loud I can hear it across the street.
Yeah, it's across the street. Go crash the party.
Okay, I'm walking.
Yeah, exactly. Go take a look.
Yeah, it's on First and the Highland.
Where's
Oh,
Mario?
he has a lot from Island till Citrus, right?
Yeah, it's across the street from us. Okay.
What did he do there? A park, a swimming pool? What is it?
Yeah, swimming pool. Yeah, he did a few things.
Okay, does he sell membership?
They have a compound there.
Not the Poilishers. Where's Ernie?
The party.
At the party.
Can you hear me?
Esty, you know who Shimi Adar is?
Yeah, she's coming for my granddaughter as a bat mitzvah.
Oh,
and she changed the party till the Thursday night so that she should come or something.
Exactly. It
Mr.
happens.
Goyen.
She's very busy.
Right.
Lady.
Got all these
Very
girl
busy.
parties. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Buddy.
What's up?
Okay, welcome everybody.
Oh.
We are on Perek Zion, and Ezra HaSofer is going to make his first appearance in this Perek. Ezra has been in Bavel with his Rebbe Rav Baruch ben Neria, and he only comes up to Eretz Yisrael after Baruch ben Neria passed away. Baruch ben Neria was too weak to travel. The Gemara in Megillah 16b, Amar Ravi Tamer Rav Shmuel bar Marta, Gadol Talmud Torah Yoitzer Mebinyan Beis Hamikdash. Studying Torah is even greater than building Beis Hamikdash. Shekol Zman sheBaruch ben Neria Kayim Lo Yinicho Ezra va'Allah. As long as Baruch ben Neria, his Rebbe, was alive, Ezra stayed in Bavel. And remember, Beis Hamikdash was already been rebuilt. before Ezra came. We already have been discussing the rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash that occurred between the 2nd and the 6th year of Daryevesh Hasheni. So let's read the first pasuk. Ve'achar advarim ha'eleh b'malchut Artaxshasta melech Paras. After these events that occurred during Artaxshasta is the same as Darius II. Ezra ben Sroya ben Azariah ben Chilkiah, Pasuk Beis ben Shalom ben Sadok ben Achituv, ben Amariah ben Azariah ben Merayot, ben Zrachia ben Buzi ben Buki, ben Avishua ben Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen HaRosh. So we are given Ezra's ancestors all the way back to Pinchas and Elazar and Aaron HaKohen. So Ezra definitely was a Kohen. Ezra arrives in Yerushalayim in the year after the completion of the Binyan Beis Hamikdash, which was in the 6th year of Artaxshasta. And we're going to learn later on that Ezra reached Yerushalayim in the 7th year. The Gemara in Megillah 16a says that Ezra was Malachi. Ezra who Malachi, the Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi, the 3 later Nevi'im of Treasar. The last Navi, Malachi, is Ezra. The Gemara says that we see the Navi, Malachi, in Malachi Perek Beis, giving Musar to the Bnei Yehuda that took Gentile wives. So we're going to see later on in Perek Yud that Ezra does the same thing, that he makes all the people who had married foreign wives to get rid of them. So that's one way that the Gemara sees that Ezra and Malachi are the same people. Now, Sraya, because it says Ezra ben Sraya ben Azariah, Sraya is also the father of Yehod Sadak, and Ezra, who is the Kohen Gadol. Ezra is the brother of Yehod Sadak. And Yoshua is the first Kohen Gadol who is Ben Yehod Sadak. So Ezra is the uncle of Yoshua Kohen Gadol. Sraya was the last Kohen Gadol in Bayis Rishon and was executed by Melech Nebuchadnezzar. Then his son Yehod Sadak became the Kohen Gadol by Yesheni. The Pasuk says that Ben Sraya ben Azariah. So in Divrei Yomim, it has 6 generations between Azariah and Merayos. So we don't mention each one, but the Navi here definitely wants to show us that Ezra is Meyuchas to Aaron HaKohen. And it calls Aaron HaKohen Harosh, who was the first Kohen Gadol. No, keep that open. Now you notice there's a Gemara in Megillah which lists 48 Nevi'im that their Nevuah was important for Doros. So it was Ezra is not mentioned there because even though it says in Baba Basra, Ezra Kosev Sifro and Divrei Yomim. So Ezra is not mentioned there because Malachi is mentioned, and he's Malachi. In the beginning of Sefer Malachi, the Radak says, Chazal Amru Malachi Ze Ezra. And he says, Lo matzanu b'shum makom shekaru Navi, el Ezra Sofer. We don't see him called Ezra Navi, he's called Ezra Sofer. And the Radak points out, people were sinners in this generation, primarily because they married Gentile women. Both Ezra and Malachi give them tochacha for that. They were not Nizr in Chilul Shabbos, which we'll see later on. Now
Actually, the rich families married success. It was in style.
It was in style. However, David, they all divorced their wives after they were given tochacha by Ezra. They divorced them.
Uh-huh.
So some say at that point, because they listened to him, his madrega went up to in Ruach HaKodesh to Nevuah.
Uh-huh.
And that's when Ezra was Zoicha to Nevuah, and then his name became Malachi. And because he was moister himself for Kedushas Yisrael, so that they would get rid of these foreign wives, that's how the Radak says sort of Ezra became Malachi. Now, most hold that Ezra did not serve as a Kohen Gadol. Although the Rambam does say that he was a Kohen Gadol. And when he writes a Hagdama to the Mishnah Torah, he says Shimon HaTzadik was the Kohen Gadol after Ezra. So mashma from the Rambam that Ezra did serve as Kohen Gadol. But Chazal says Ezra was not a Kohen Gadol. And they bring psukim to prove that. And when they said that Shimon HaTzadik became sort of the head of the generation, the next generation, like Ezra was, but not that Ezra was a Kohen Gadol. Very interesting, the Chomes Anach, one of the Perushim on Ezra, in the name of the Ari says, Aaron HaKohen, there was a Gilgul of his neshama into Eli HaKohen. If you remember, Eli HaKohen, when he heard about the Mishkan in Shiloh being destroyed by the Plishtim, he fell backwards on his chair and he broke his neck. Now, Aaron HaKohen got involved in the Chet HaEgel. The Averis of Avodah Zarah requires skila. So when Eli HaKohen broke his neck, it was a Gilgul, and in a sense, the Neshama of Aaron got a takana because of in a sense, he was given skila in a way to be mechaper for the oven of the Chet HaEgel. Later on, the same Neshama was megagel into Ezra Sofer, and that was the final tikkun for Aaron HaKohen. And we see Moshe Rabbeinu davened many davenings to get into Eretz Yisrael. We don't say Aaron HaKohen, we didn't see Aaron HaKohen make such tefillas. So again, the Ari says that's why Aaron didn't daven, because he knew he would come into Eretz Yisrael because he was going to be a Gilgul through Ezra. And that's what it means here, Aaron HaKohen Harosh. it connect that the Aaron came into Ezra himself and through Eli. Now you notice we're going to see in the next Pasuk that Ezra arrives Rosh Chodesh Av. Do you know what Rosh Chodesh Av is? That's the yard site of Aaron HaKohen. So you see again the connection between Ezra and Aaron.
Did he lived a short life because of Eli?
Eli didn't live a short life.
No, but he's an ancestors.
Say it again.
Ancestors of Eli has a curse that they should live short life.
Right. It's the Gemara Abaya. Right. The Gemara says Abaya was from the Bnei Eli.
Right.
But you notice that we just say there was a Gilgul of Neshama, but in the listing of the ancestors, it doesn't say that Ezra was directly descended from Ezra.
Uh-huh.
This is just the Ari says in a mystical way.
Mm.
Let's look at Pasuk Vav. Who Ezra Alomi Bavel? He Ezra came up to Bavel from Bavel. V'hu Sofer Mahir b'Torat Moshe. He is a brilliant scholar, a brilliant Talmid Chacham of the Torah Moshe, Asher Nosan Hashem Elokei Yisrael. The Torah was given by Hashem. Vayitein lo hamelech ki ad Hashem lo kav alav kol b'chashaso. The king, we're talking about Daryavesh, granted every request of Ezra as commanded by Hashem. There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin, 21b. Tanya Rabbi Yossi Oimer, Roy Haya Ezra Shetinosin Torah al Yodel Yisrael Ilmole Lo Ykodmu Moshe. That if there was no Moshe Rabbeinu, it was Ezra who was going to give Klal Yisrael the Torah. What do we see? B'Moshe hu Oimer u'Moshe Allah El Elokim. Right before the Dibros, it says God went up to the Hashem. Be'ezra hu Oimer hu Ezra Allah mi Bavel. So the words Allah. Ma aliyah Omer kan Torah. The aliyah of Moshe Rabbeinu was to receive the Torah. Af aliyah Omer lahalan Torah. So too Ezra coming up from Bavel relates to the Torah. B'Moshe hu Oimer v'otit tziva Hashem ba'etahi. Now Hashem commanded me now, l'lamed etchem chukim u'mishpatim. Be'ezra hu omer ki Ezra hechin levavo lidrosh et Torat Hashem v'lasot u'lamed b'Yisrael chok u'mishpat. Same language. L'lamed etchem chukim u'mishpatim, l'lamed b'Yisrael chok u'mishpat.
Didn't Ezra rewrote the Torah? He put it together.
We're going to see, David. There's a new Hebrew script,
Right.
Ksav Ashuri. So
Right.
the Torah which was written in Ksav Livornia was now during the time of Ezra. The Ksav was changed, which we will go into. The Rav Tzadok HaKohen Milublin says that in the times of Ezra, there was the same sort of ha'ara, the same spiritual standing like by Har Sinai. But there was sin. And therefore, we didn't have koilos, brokim, open nisim by Hashem like Ma'amad Har Sinai. It was done in the hearts of Klal Yisrael. And you notice the Nes of Achashverosh, when we were saved by Purim, and all of the Nisim that have happened now that we've studied about building the Bayis Sheni was all Derech HaTeva. We don't see any miraculous things. So the same thing. Here there's a Kabbalah Satorah again, which starts with Kimu v'Kiblu in the times of Achashverosh, which extends to Ezra. The Gemara in Sukkah, Chaf Amud Aleph, B'tchila kishnishtacha Torah Yisrael, Allah Ezra miBavel v'Yosta. Torah was forgotten, and Ezra came and reestablished it. Chazra v'nishtacha, during Bayis Sheni, was also forgotten. The Tzidukim, the Hellenizers, Allah Hillel haBavli v'Yosta. Hundreds of years later, Hillel came up again from Bavel and reestablished. Chazra v'nishtacha, during the Hadrian persecutions, 135 CE, Rabbi Akiva is killed, Beitar is destroyed, there's a lot of Torah forgotten. Allah Rab Chia ubana v'yastua. Rab Chia and his children came and reestablished Torah. So we see that this process has repeated itself a number of times. Now, again, echoing what David said, the Gemara in Sanhedrin there says, Afal pi shelo nitna Torah al yado, nishtana al yado haksav. So the Torah, we said, it was right to receive the Torah like Moshe. But Moshe already was given it, but the ksav was changed. Shenemar. Uksava nishtaven kosuv aromis umaturgam aromis. So we have this new Ksav Ashuri, because it came up with them from Assyria. This all started the night of the Belshazzar, when there was writing on the wall and nobody could understand it. And Daniel came and read the writing on the wall. That was the first time that anybody had seen Ksav Ashuri. I'm going to read another Gemara regarding this Lashon Ashuri. Menachos is Chavtes. B'shah sha'ala Moshe l'marom, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Shammai. Matzul HaKadosh Baruch sheyoishev v'koisher ksharim lo yisiyos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is writing tagim, crowns to all the letters. If you look in a Sefer Torah, you'll see letters have crowns. So Moshe said, Amar lefon Ribbon Shalom, mima akev ayatcha. What is this for? Amar le Adam echad yeshbi ve'Akiva ben Yosef shmo. We have a Jew later on, 1,000 years from now, Akiva ben Yosef. Sha'atid lidrosh al kol kots v'kots. Tili tilin shal halachos. That on all these tagin, Rabbi Akiva is going to darshan thousands of halachos. So, Amar le Rafon Rabbanu Shalom, Amar le shtok kachal samach shavu lefanei. The Gemara ends up there. Moshe is peladik, and this is how Hashem wants it. So the Griz, the Revelvel Brisk, says, what was this question that Moshe is asking Kodesh Baruch Hu? So he brings the Ramban that in the time of Ezra, these letters had been chiseled on the avonim that they put up right before they crossed the Yarden, right? And then they brought those stones with them when they crossed the Yarden. We learned that in Sefer Yoshua. So in the time of Ezra, they copied all these tagin from those stones where Moshe had written it. So the Griz asked, why didn't they copy it from other Sifrei Torah? It's because until Ezra, the Torah was written b'ksav livona, the old Hebrew script. It's only from Ezra and on. He had a nevuah from Hashem that the Torah should be written b'ksav Ashuri. So since the Sifrei Torah before the time of Ezra was written in Ksav Livona, there were no tagim there. Tagim only fit to Ksav Ashuri. So that's why they had to go to those stones and copy the Tagin to put now on the new Torahs that they wrote B'Ksav Ashuri. Remember, they wrote that Torah in the time of Moshe in 70 languages. One of them was an Assyrian language. And that had Tagin. Rabbi Kiva could only darshan it after the time of Ezra. And explains the Griz. That's why Moshe asked the question. The Torah was given to Moshe B'Ksav Ivri Livona. So that's what led to the whole dialogue that Hashem had to tell him it's going to be Tagim, it's going to be Akiva ben Yosef, many generations, because only then are going to know the Tagim.
We know today what's the Tagim?
No, I don't believe we understand any of the Tagim.
Isn't the Tagim the Tamim?
No, the Tamim we have through Masorah. The Tagim are the things on top. Like if you look at a shin, it has like little crowns.
Right.
Many letters have, or tet. Many letters have these crowns. That only Rabbi Kiva knew. The Tamei Mikra, how we lay in the trop, so that we received the Masorah in the year 600, 700, 800, like the Masorah, the Masoretic texts. Now, I'm going to just bring one kasha that everyone should realize. On this, what we just read from the Griz, that the original Torah was given Iksav Livorna. That's a problem. Because we know in Aser Sadibros, in the stone, the letters were written through and through. So we know the mem or the samech was b'nei sayu omdim, right? Because a mem sofit is like a square. So it was, how did the middle piece hang there? So that's why b'nei, but that only works if you're talking about Ksav Ashuri. A mem sofit doesn't look the same way in Ksav Livorna. So, yeah, so there are people who are choylek on the Tanya Kama. Tanya, Rebbe Oimer, B'tchila b'ksav zeh nitna Torah Yisrael. You see, Rebbe understood that there was a problem. If you're going to say that the Torah was given in Ksav Livorna, what about this B'nei Sayu Oimdin? The Mem Sofit doesn't look the same. So there's a Machlokas Tanoim. And Rebbe says that really the original Torah was given b'ksav Ashuri. Kiven shechatu nepach lahen leroitz. It became Ksav Livorna. Kiven shechatu ben ichzir lem shenemar shuva libitzoram. Then they did shuva. They got this Ksav Ashuri again. So. By the way, the Even Yechia says Ezra Kohen Olami Bavel, Asher Haya Sofer Mahir B'Toras Moshe, V'Tikein HaNekudot. So, for example, we read Chelev and not Cholev or Chalav. When you in the parsha of there's a certain Nikudot. Ezra was the one that was Mesak in the Nikudot. Veha Ta'amim, Veha Masoret. Right? Where do we put a pay? Where do we put a samech? Where are the stops? And that's what it means. Vayitein lo hamelech kol bakoshaso ki yadu v'hashgachas Hashem al Ezra. That's what's meant by everything was done by hashgachas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, let's go weiter. The Targum, Onkelos, in Bereshis, the word mechokek he translates as safra, which is like a scholar, someone who can interpret Torah. So that's why the Talmidei Chachamim during this period are called soifrim, because they're quick to grasp the fine points. The Ralbag emphasizes that the word sofer is to count. You know that we have many Mishnahs that say there are 15 types of yibum, or arba avos nezikin. Many Mishnayos that begin with a number. So Ezra Sefer, the counter, and then all eventually was written by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi 500 years later. But it started with Ezra. He could enumerate all the interpretations. He could say all the which were acceptable. The Malbim brings where it says Shimon HaTzadik was the last remnant of the Anshe Knesset Agdola. The Anshe Knesset Agdola was headed by Ezra. And what does Shimon HaTzadik say there in Avos? So these three pillars were in the time of Ezra. Zerubbabel and Yoshua Kohen Gadol. They constructed by Sheni. They reestablished the Avoda. Ezra organizes the spread of Torah scholarship. Right? So that's the Torah. Nehemiah strengthened the walls of Yerushalayim and engaged in social reform, which is the Chesed. So that's how the Malbim learns the connection between Ezra and Shimon HaTzadik. Pasuk Zion. Vayalu mipnei Yisrael umin haKohanim v'Aleviim v'Mishorim v'Shoarim. There were Yisraelim, Kohanim, Leviim, singers, gatekeepers, v'Nesinim. The Nesinim were like the water schleppers. El Yerushalayim, they also came with Ezra. Bishnat Sheva l'Artachshasta Melech, in the 7th year of Darius's reign. Initially, the Levium didn't come. Later on, they came. We'll see that in Perek Chet. The Levium were either singers or gatekeepers. People had already come up with Zerubbabel years before, but now they came up again with Ezra. The Gemara in Kiddushin says, Lo Allah Ezra mi Bavel ad she'asa kesoilus nikiya va'Allah. He took all the bad yichus with him to Eretz Yisrael. And he knew that there were no Talmidei Chachamim left in Bavel who are going to be able to deal with yichus. So he kept Bavel very miyuchastic. Pasuk Ches. Vayavo Yerushalayim b'chodesh hachamishi. Ezra arrives in Chodesh Av. Ishnas hashviis lamelech, in the 7th year of Dariavesh's reign. And there's a debate by a Jewish king. Their reign switches by Nisan. By a Goyish king, it switches by Tishrei. But initially, Daryavish is viewed as a very righteous king. Later on, he's not so much righteous. So then, instead of counting his days as a Jewish king, they count him as a Gentile king. What were the misdeeds of Darius that they thought he wasn't the tzaddik anymore? If you remember, we learned in Perek Vav, and Esti, and I did some research about it. If we have some time, I'll go into it tonight. He had requested that the korbanos should be offered for him and his family. So, for his children. And therefore, you see that his intentions were not l'shem shamayim. We also learned in Perek Vav that Darius commanded that there be wood be built into the walls of the Beis Hamikdash to make it easier to burn it down. Then we're going to learn in Nehemiah that Darius had a shegel sitting next to him in his throne. What's a shegel? A female dog. And the king had immoral relations with this dog. So, of course, we see reasons why the Chachamim lowered their esteem for Darius. We say that, by the way, what month Ezra arrives in Chodesh Av? The same month that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. And now his coming is to do the opposite, is to be machazik the bias, which is the replacement of the bias that was destroyed. And that's why this month, v'nepach lahem miyagon l'simcha, right? All of the various fast days became Yomim Tovim. And that's why it says Vayavo Yerushalayim. It doesn't say Vayavohu, because it's all connected to Ezra. He is compared to all the people who went up with him. He's the Yisod. By the way, you'll see the next Pasuk goes backwards. This Pasuk, they arrive in Yerushalayim, and the next Pasuk we're going to learn goes like when they left Bavel. Why did this happen? So I want to read the Mishpat Zov, beautiful language. Al gol chafetzam v'rutzonam lavol Yerushalayim be'ofen sheterm shiatzu kvar hayu b'machshavtam v'rayatam b'Eretz Yisrael. They were so bihitlavut to make aliyah, and it was kvitza sadera. That means the moment they left Bavel, it's as if they already arrived in Jerusalem. It says that Tzidkas Tzadik, Rav Tzodek HaKohen Milublin, b'makom shehu ha'machshava shel Adam, sham hu kol ha'adam. The place where a person's thoughts are, that's where the person is. Ki ikara adam eino haguf rak hanefesh. What makes the human being? His soul, not his body. Hanefesh eino dover rak koach hamachashev v'maharev v'harotze sheba'adam. The goof is just that which holds on to our brain and our heart, which makes us think and imagine and desire. And therefore, our desire to be in Yerushalayim or to be in Eretz Yisrael, that's where the person is. So many of us are always thinking about Yerushalayim and thinking about Israel. It's as if you're there because your machshava puts you there, even though you're not physically there yet. Pasuk Tes. Ki be'echad l'chodesh harishon. See, we go backwards. In the first day of Nisan, hu Yesuda Mala mi Bavel. That's when they began to go up to Eretz Yisrael. Uve'echad l'chodesh hachamishi bal Yerushalayim. They reach Yerushalayim Rosh Chodesh Av. Ki yad Elohava tova alav. By the benevolence of Hashem. That the safe and successful arrival to Yerushalayim was through the Chesed of Hashem. It's also Chesed of Hashem that was the Darius, the king, had granted all of Ezra's requests. As Rashi says, Latzlicho bedarko. Pasuk, let me just hang on. Sure that there's nothing here. The Ramban in Sefer Iyuv. Oh, by the way, the Yesud Amale, that's the preparation. It's very complicated to make aliyah. You need organization, you need preparation, you need planning. And you need hashgacha pratis from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Ramban says in his commentary on Sefer Iyuv, Ki tzadikim asher libam ve'neihem tamidim Hashem. Tzadikim, their heart and their eyes are always with God. Kein einei Hashem aleihem reishita shana dachrita shana. So too Hashem looks as tzadikim. Ad ki achasida gamur adavek belukim tamid. The righteous person who is dovuk in Hashem, below he pared adevek b'machshavto bo binyamin ha'olam, he's constantly, even though it's a physical world, he's connected to Hashem. Yet nishmar tamid mikol mikre azman. This tzaddik is going to be protected from anything that could happen in our world. Neis yaselo tomid ki ilis chashev makas elyon. So that's the concept of kiyad elokav hatova alav. You have to be a tzaddik and a chosid to merit that. Pasuk Yud. Ki Ezra hechin levavo. Ezra had prepared his heart. Lidrosh et Torat Hashem v'lasot. To study Hashem's Torah, to fulfill it. Ulelamed b'Yisrael chok u'mishpat. This is the pasuk we compared to Moshe Rabbeinu, because it says chok u'mishpat like it says in Ulelamed b'Yisrael. Torah scholars who scrupulously observe commandments and raise the people's spiritual level are blessed with absolute providential protection. And that's why Ezra, who's a great Torah scholar, was divinely assisted in obtaining everything he needed from the king. So says the Ramban. Rashi in Bereishis, where it first mentions chukim, Rashi says chukim are things that don't have reason, like don't eat chazir or don't wear shatnez. The Ramban says chukim refers to all the various attributes that Hashem has. Mahu chanun, afu chanun. Mahu rachum, you have to be rachum. You have to emulate kindness, compassion, charity. And the Malbim says chukim refers to all the various laws from Torah Shebal Peh that the Chachamim darshaned out from the written Torah. The Bartanura, based on this pasuk, says that Torah's teacher's personal behavior should not deviate in any way from his teachings. A teacher's personal practice should be neither stricter nor more lenient than his instructions to his students, but he has to have the same attributes as what he's teaching. The Mishpat solves like this. It says, Ki Ezra hechin levavo. So that's what we can do. This is Nesinas Harotzon Lasos L'Am Yisrael. A person has to put in his heart the desire to learn to do and to teach. V'rak zeh ma shebiyad ha'adam. This is what we have ourselves to be able to do. Aval et ha'chochma atzma Kadosh Baruch Hu noisei. The chochma Kadosh Baruch Hu gives. It says in Tehillim, Kuf Ches, Tachin libam, takshiv oznecha. On Rav Shmuel bar Nachman, mikivanta libcha betfilasecha te'emu v'srash nishmat filasecha. If you have kavana with your heart during your davening, I give you a besora tova that your davening will be heard. Your prayers will be heard. Because it says Tachin libam. So does it say as well, Ezra hechin levavo. He prepared his heart to learn Torah. That's why it says the Ramban in Masechet Shabbos, this second coming in the time of Ezra, the Bnei Yisrael accepted the Torah b'rotzon, right? In the time of Achashverosh, they said Kimu v'kiblu, and you notice the Ramban says B'vias Ezra, not B'aliyas Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was in the first year of Daryavesh. 17 years way before the Nes of Purim. They were so happy about the Nes of Purim because they knew they weren't that righteous. And they had a Nes occur even though they were nenem, they went to the party of Achashverosh, which showed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves the Jewish people no matter what. But now, that wasn't the Torah thing. This is now Ezra coming up with the schus of Lilmod Lulame. Yeah, I said that. Okay. Let's do Pasuk Yud Aleph. Zeh Parshegen Anishtavan. This is a text of a letter. That was given by the king Artaxshasta, who's Darius, to Ezra the Kohen and the Sefer. Sofer divrei mitzvot Hashem v'chukav al Yisrael. He is the scholar of Hashem's commandments and chukim. The Mabim says that Ezra counted all the commandments and all the chukim and with a precise count. He counted all the words in all of Tanakh and issuing the corrected versions, like we said, the Mesorah. And he counted each of the various chukim in the Torah Shabbal Peh, like we said, Arba Avos Nezikin, etc. Darius also recognized that Ezra was a special Torah teacher. And that's why the Ramat Vali says, Mikan lamanu shamelech hazaya melech hogun v'kosher mechasidi u'masoilam. He was machshiv, the mitzvahs, the chukim of Torah Moshe. Says the Yerushalmi Shkolim that we learn in the Daf Yomi. Ma tamud lomar soifer, a counter. Kashem shayos soifer b'divrei Torah. Just like he counted psukim, kachayos sofer b'divrei chachamim. The words of the chachamim. Like, shemanu asadinim kigon chamisha lo yitrumu. There are 5 types of Jews who shouldn't give truma. Or, chamesh esrei noshim poitros tzoruseyim. There are 15 types of women that you don't have to give yibum to. Arba Avos Nezikin. All the things we say come with a count. So that's why he's called Ezra Sofer. Pasuk Yud Beis. This is the text of the letter. Artaxshasta Melech Malchaya. Artaxshasta is the king of kings. And LeEzra Chahana. This letter is to Ezra the Kohen. Sefer Data di Eloha, Shmaya, the scholar of the Torah of God in heaven. Gemir u'ke'enet. Gemir means he studied it. U'ke'enet, ke'enet, we'll see, there's a debate what that means. It some means the people who live in Eretz Canaan, across the river, which were called the Trans River. So the letter is going also to the Gentile people who live in Eretz Yisrael now. Who is this letter addressed to? That's how this letter is started. Pasuk Yud Gimel. Mini sim te'en di kol misnadev v'malchusi. I decree that anyone in my kingdom, among the Israelites, Kohanim, and Levites, kol misnadev v'malchusi min ami Yisrael v'chahane v'leviyah, l'mahach li'Yushalayim imach yahach. This, I decree that anyone in my kingdom, Jews, Kohanim, Levim, volunteering to journey to Yerushalayim may accompany you. He's giving reshus to the Jews in his kingdom to accompany Ezra to make Aliyah. He permitted his Jewish subjects to go to Jerusalem. That was original. That was Cyrus. Now, after the temple is completed, the people living in exile needed permission from the king, so he issued a new declaration that they could freely emigrate to Yerushalayim. Wasn't so possible. There was an initial declaration by Cyrus when he allowed them to go up to build the Beis HaMikdash, but now Darius is giving his Jewish subjects permission to make Aliyah. Look at Rashi. Mimeni yotzer reshut. From me is the permission. Ki kol asher nadvar rucho otom in Yisrael. Anybody whose spirit is burning in him, from Jews, Kohanim, Levim, Lalechet, Yerushalayim, Yelechimcha, should go with you. Pasuk Yudalit. Kol kibul di min kadam malka v'shivat yatur shliach. You have been dispatched by the king and his 7 counselors, right? Sheva ro'ei pnei hamelech, like it says in the Megillah. Levakra al Yehud v'Yerushalayim, to investigate the Jews in Jerusalem, bedat Elohach dividach, regarding are they observing your Torah of the God which is in your possession. You now have to make sure that the Jews in Israel are observing the Torah. It sounds like Trump telling all the Jews in America to keep Shabbos. This pasuk explains why the king permitted the Jews to go back with Ezra. Ezra's purpose was to investigate the extent of the fulfillment of the Torah in Jerusalem and to teach Torah and Yiras Hashem. Anyone wanting to participate in this spiritual elevation were invited to join Ezra. Are the Jews of Jerusalem accurately fulfilling the Torah? Look at Rashi. Levakral Yehud k'dei lidrosh v'livdok al Yehudim asher b'Yerushalayim im hem asukim b'Torato shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu asher b'yadcha. Are they occupied in the Torah? Tesvav ulehevala kesef udahav. But also that you are going to transport silver and gold. The Malka v'Atoi, the king and his counselors, have contributed. His Nadvul Eloha Yisrael are making a big donation to the God of Israel. The Yerushalayim Mishkanei, whose dwelling place is Jerusalem. Rashi, Lavila Lolich Kesef V'Zov Shel HaMelech V'Yoatzav Asher Yitnadvu Eloha Yisrael L'Taken Beito Asher Mishkano Beito B'Yerushalayim. I'm going to stop here today and ask for questions. So we went to Yud, we went to Tesvav. About halfway through. Okay. Any questions, comments, ha'aros? Yeah, let me go back to what Esti was asking me about.
For 3 hours.
So there's a chazal regarding non-Jews giving tzedakah. It says chesed l'umim chatat. Shegoy sho said tzedakah nefshel l'adavar l'chatas. Kivin sheina oisel l'shem shamayim. Ela l'tovato l'nato l'gadel u'li'itgaot. When a non-Jew gives tzedakah, he's not doing it l'shem shamayim. It's for his own benefit. It's to raise his name. Mikol mokom kol zeh biyachas l'sachur shel Yisrael osed tzedakah v'chesed shezochu b'chaylam haba. When a Jew does tzedakah properly, he's zoicha l'chaylam haba. Like it says, Elu dvarim sha'adam ochel perosem b'olam hazeh v'keren kayemet olam haba. These are things you do in this world, but your reward is in the next world. Gmilas chasadim. Aval eitzel ha'akum tzedakah v'chesed she'osa lo nostim lo me'uma b'ma shenogeh l'chaylam haba. Because they're not giving tzedakah l'chaylam, but they do have a mitzvah to give tzedakah, and they get schar. The proof is from Nebuchadnezzar. Remember, there was a curse that he was going to turn like into an animal, but because for a year he gave the aniyim tzedakah, it prevented the gzeira from happening to him for at least a year. So it's not an aveira; it's a mitzvah for them, but it's not the same kind of mitzvah that Jews will get when they give tzedakah for the right reasons.
What's חסידי אומות העולם?
Is that?
חסידי אומות העולם.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's
We're talking about Gentiles who give tzedakah. And remember, there was a pasuk that Darius said, bring the korbanos on behalf of me and my children. And from there, the Gemara in Baba Basra says, tzedakah teromem goy, Eli Yisrael. D'chsiv mi kam Yisrael goy echad baretz. V'chesed l'umim chatas called tzedakah v'chesed. She'umos of the kachavim oisim chatu lahem. She'enan oisin elis gadel bo. They're not doing it l'shem shamayim. They have some mitzvah, but not on the same level. Okay.
Yeah, but today you have these Christians. You see all the ads, Christian and Jewish thing to give tzedakah. You see that. You see a lot of those ads on the TV. So what?
Right. So that's good.
They're giving to a lot of tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. So I mean,
correct. However, let me just make a point.
What, they're making it for themselves?
It doesn't make a difference on being taped. I believe it may have changed. It used to be that the Gentiles were involved with Jewish things because they had in mind to convert us. As part of their religious doctrine, the Mormons have it's a great thing to be able to bring a Jew over to their religion. And people in the past were fearful of getting too close because I think we're beyond that. I think that they've recognized that the Jewish faith is its own faith, and many pastors say that the Jews should practice Judaism, and they're not interested in bringing them to Christianity. But my only question, Walter, is all of this do they have an ulterior motive in it? That motive that I know there were many rabbis that were very suspect of that. Like I remember in the 70s when it first started. I think today, because of the relationship with Israel and politics, etc., we see that it's different, and it may be different. And all of the chesed that they're doing for us, is amazing, and it should continue.
Amen.
Yeah, amen. Me.
Okay.
Should have a good week.
And everybody have a good week.
Everybody have a good week. יישר כוח.
Yeah, thank you.